Welcome to another episode of Where the Rubber Meets the Road. I'm your host, Michael Griffith, and today's episode, we'll be asking the question, as a man or a woman, what is one thing you appreciate about the opposite gender? Now, I believe the importance in this question lies in its ability to shift our attention, our focus, away from the negative and onto the positive. And with society being what it currently is, I think we can benefit from a bit more positivity in our experience. But first, why is it that we've become so heavily focused on negativity? Or in other words, why it is that we have become so preoccupied with negative aspects of the male and female dynamic. We see it all the time on social media, women and men fueling the gender war or the battle of the sexes. I think the reason for this lies in our innate nature as men and women to avoid discomfort and seek comfort. Or in other words, avoid pain and seek pleasure. This causes our negative experiences to be more pronounced in the back of our mind. In other words, we become hyper concerned with safety or hyper concerned with minimizing risks. And one of the most effective ways of doing this is being able to identify the snakes in the grasses, if you will. So, as expected, both men and women tend to constantly be checking in on the red flags, and in most cases, going as far as inventing reasons or things to perceive as negative indicating. This is understandable. It's an understandable traumatic reaction. But what I'm proposing is not delusion, but an expansion of awareness. Because while there are negative attributes and aspects of both men and women, there are also positive ones. And you may ask, what benefits are there in focusing or looking for positive aspects when negative aspects also exist? The more of what we focus on is the more of what we'll find. And this doesn't require you to be delusional, but it requires you to acknowledge and encourage certain behaviors when you see them. So, for example, a person might recognize someone helping an old lady across the street. And the simple act of saying, hey, that was really nice, or I like that you took the time out to help that old lady across the street. The simple act of doing that will encourage the person to do more of the same. Likewise, whether it's in the social or relationship context, being able to recognize the good attributes, the good aspects of each side can result in a proliferation of the same. So, how do we as men and women shift our attention, our focus, from being so hyper-focused on negative attributes and aspects to being more appreciative of the positive ones? I think the first step is understanding that we have more to offer than we initially believe. So we might find women viewing their ability to nurture, their ability for softness, their ability for compassion as signs of weaknesses. And they might be more ready to embody masculine characteristics. understandably because it is viewed as moving from a place of vulnerability to a place of strength. But if we are honest with ourselves and think about the qualities that we most appreciate about our mother, or some of us, the qualities that we wish our mother had, I'm sure that qualities like compassion, qualities like softness, qualities like the ability to nurture would find itself at the top of our list. And oftentimes we tend to view our innate abilities and attributes as weaknesses and limitations as opposed to strength. And in many instances, we tend to neglect or become resentful for who and what we are. I'm reminded of a story when I was in school where a dog was crossing the bridge with a bone in his mouth, and he looked over into the water and noticed another dog with an even bigger bone, and he became resentful, became jealous of what he perceived as a better deal. And no sooner had he opened his mouth to bark at the dog, his bone fell out his mouth. And he realized that the dog that he was looking at was just his reflection. And many times it's the case where we tend to sacrifice or give up or neglect our innate abilities or innate qualities that make us who we are in favor of something that we perceive might be better. It's for this reason I believe greater compassion as opposed to greater competition can allow each side to become more aware of what we are blessed with, our strengths, and even our limitations, and learn to adopt the perspective that our limitations are not inadequacies, but instead our limitations are opportunities for the opposite gender to complement us. I hope this perspective brings or sheds a new light on the way we view the male and female dynamic. Now join me as we venture into the street to ask random persons what is something that they admire about the opposite gender. So I'm here with Alistair and I'm asking him the question, as a man, what is one thing you find yourself appreciating about the female gender?
For majority of persons, majority of persons is their confidence. Where not everyone has that ability to really believe in their appearance and how to carry themselves without altering what their physical self is. And for those who have that appreciation of self-image, is what I admire most.
I really love that, Alistair. I really love that. Thanks again.
You're welcome.
I am here with the one and only Miss Michelle Big Red King. And I'm asking her the question, as a woman, what's one thing you can appreciate about the male gender?
Well, for the male gender that are in my circle, I appreciate they're emotionally available, which is rare. I think
Yeah,
we
that's
find
rare.
it's rare finding that with men.
Yeah, that's rare.
Caring, problem solvers, um, ready to protect you in whatever way that they can. And I must say that I'm in love with that, and I'm grateful for that.
I love that. So I think all of your male friends should listen to the props that you're giving them.
Yes.
I really enjoyed your answer. Thanks a lot. So I'm here with Blair and I'm asking him the question, as a man, what is one thing he appreciates about the female gender? Blair?
Yeah, basically for me, it's all about loyalty. Loyalty and respect. Every man needs that. Once they get that, they get love. So we just hold in the loyalty and the respect.
I really appreciate the answer. I really appreciate the answer. Thanks. So I'm here with Joanna and I'm asking her the question, as a woman, what is one thing she appreciates about the male gender?
Okay, good afternoon. One thing I appreciate about the male generation is their problem solving. So, especially for my line of work, daily we encounter various challenges. And one thing I really like and admire about the guys is that they don't panic. They're just quick. How can we get to the bottom of this? How can we correct this? And I really admire that. So, kudos to the guys.
I really love your response. Okay, so I'm here with Josh, and I'm asking him the question: what is one thing he, as a man, can appreciate about the opposite gender? In other words, what's one thing he appreciates about women?
Say how caring they are for others, because they're more compassionate compared to some men, out there. As I say, like I could respect their compassion and whatnot, how they care for others more than they may seem. Sometimes they may say something, but they still care deep down.
Yeah, definitely. I really love the answer, Josh. I am here with Sadie, and I'm asking her, as a woman, as a female, what is one thing she appreciates about the male gender? Sadie?
Well, tolerant, how, um,
Your ability to be there or be consistent despite a lot might be going on.
yeah.
I can appreciate that. I find it is a very common quality among men that intend to do good in society. So I can relate to that. Thanks for your answer, Sadie.
You're welcome.
Hi, I'm here with Adriana, and I'm asking her, as a woman, what is one thing she appreciates about the male gender?
Hi guys. So I appreciate the male gender, at least for my husband. He's a great provider. And any issue that I have, I could talk to him about anything, and we always come up with a great solution.
I really love that, Adriana. I really love it. Thanks so much for your contribution.
You're welcome.
Welcome back. I must say it was heartwarming to see the eagerness in both sides to give their flowers to the opposite sex. I find far too often we can become locked into this one perspective, or the grass is greener on the other side mindset. And this can cause us to lose out on a lot of what is right in front of us, whether it's what is being reflected in the opposite gender or what it is about ourselves that we've overlooked. Thank you for staying with us. And I'm Michael Griffith. Until next time, I'll see you where the rubber meets the road.